Hello everyone and welcome. I want to show you guys a cool video of all my CGC slabs I'm going to be sending off to get reholdered by CGC. Look at all that. Wow. So unlike some people that are pretty salty about the change, I would say needlessly salty, I'm actually pretty excited for it. You know why? Because I actually have CGC slabs. So a lot of these guys that are so upset about it, they just don't collect CGC. So why would they care? This, for anyone who is holding a lot of CGC slabs like moi, like these, this is an exciting change. I always said the 9.5 is a silly number. Just make it a 10. I always said that. I said that it made them less competitive compared to PSA because people are going to want the PSA 10. Remember, PSA costs their 10 gem mint 10. Also, if you think that PSA 10 gem mint does not include white dots, occasional scratches in the hollow, off-centering, and other similar problems, you are wrong. I've been collecting for 4 years now. Well, more than that when I was a kid, but they didn't have grading back then. But I've been collecting a lot in the last 4 years. I would argue I'm one of the biggest buyers, by the way. The volume of cards I move year to year is pretty astounding if I ever showed you the real figures. So anyways, I go through a lot of slabs as a result of my little pokey business here and see a lot of stuff. And yeah, there's plenty of goofy PSA 10s out there. We used to make fun of them for it and be like, PSA's garbage. But all that's in the past. I've given up being mad at the grading companies. It just is what it is. I like gem mint 10s from PSA. I like pristine 10s from CGC. And I actually also like gem mints from CGC, but they say 9.5. Which was always really annoying. And now that it's going to say gem mint 10, they're going to be so much more competitive with PSA. Honestly, my opinion on the matter is that BGS should have done the same thing. I heard that BGS was going to do that in April. I got that email from BGS. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was an April Fool's joke. If they were serious, they should have done it. Because nobody collects 9.5. That's what it is. Nobody collects 9.5. It's a psychological barrier. People only want pristine 10s. But here we are. We got all these pristine 10s are going to get reholdered for the new golden pristine 10 label, which, by the way, is a slight upgrade. Obviously, you would not regrade your perfect 10s, which CGC needs to bring that back. But the pristine 10s will get a fancier looking golden label. And what's fascinating is, since they're combining perfect and pristine together, you're always going to wonder if those pristines could be cross-graded to Beckett for the black label. So it's a slight upgrade to have the new golden pristine label. Look at that Raichu, man. Topps Raichu. Going from 9.5 to 10 is pretty meaningful. Here's a Weedle second print from Topps. Really beautiful. So these are all going to get the upgraded label. Look at that Persian. So nice. I'm showing you everything I have again. Check this one out. Check this one out. Pristine 10 Spectrochrome Charizard. Wow. That is really cool, man. Here's another cool one. Look at this. Pristine 10 Dark Charizard with a big swirl on it. Man, it's awesome. Here's one. I just got this one in a trade. This is a Gem Mint 9.5 Pikachu. That's going to be 10 now. Now, it doesn't mean that the card itself is better. They're not upgrading the card. They're just getting rid of the word or the number 9.5. This card loses so much value when it says 9.5, and then when it says 10, it just jumps in value. I got two of these Dark Dragonites. I think one of them's international, so it's still on the way. I'm waiting for it. This is a huge upgrade. To say 9.5 to jump to 10, that's huge. And I looked it over. It's such a nice card. Yeah, such a nice card. It's silly that it has to say 9.5, but I'm sure it's not perfect. There's probably some problem with this somewhere. Like, look at this. All right. So probably with these more expensive cards, they already tried to cross them with PSA, or they were PSA 9s that they crossed to CGC and they turned into 9.5s, one or the other. But now these are going to say Gem Mint 10 with CGC, and I'm very pleased with that. You got all these guys that are crying about it, and I promise you, when it becomes old news, people are going to be looking at that Gem Mint CGC 10 going, huh, maybe I just buy that. You know what I mean? I guarantee you, people will forget all the outrage. Oh, we don't like change. Oh, you need to stick with 9.5s. People are going to forget about that in like a year, and these Gem Mint 10s are going to be so much more valuable by that point. Again, upgrade on this. So all these pristines are going to have the golden label. I'm very excited for that golden label. See, these guys, they don't have all this stuff. I do, and so the change is very exciting for me. It's basically like being told your collection has been upgraded. Yeah, so all the salty tears, I could care less. Look at this Alakazam. I bought this Alakazam as a 9.5 because I was like, you know, I'd like a PSA 10, but I'll settle for a Gem Mint 9.5. And I'm glad I did. It was honestly, because a little part of me always had this feeling like maybe that would happen. I always had this feeling like maybe Beckett and maybe CGC would one day change their 9.5s to 10s. That's exactly what happened. Look at this Dragonite. Beautiful. I just bought this one just before the announcement. I bought these pristines. Check these out. Sabrina Kadabra. Look at that Ghastly from Neo Destiny. And then Chuck's right on. They're all going to get the golden label, obviously. So those will be sent back for the golden label. Here is a beautiful Dust Noir. Wow, man. Man, that is a cool card. I can't believe how cheap I got that card. I got it pretty cheap, I think. Here is a Nidoran 10. $400. I love the Topps cards, by the way. If you didn't know this, I'm a big fan of the Topps collection. I've made a lot of money in Topps because Topps wasn't loved the way it deserved to be loved. A lot of people are negative about Topps cards. So this is where you find your opportunities. You find these overly negative people who are just like, oh, nobody will ever collect Topps. Are you sure about that? Have you seen them? They're really nice. Look at this Squirtle. So I hated the idea of having to sell him as a 9.5 because I know 9.5s just don't go for much. So I probably saw the price and said, man, I'm not selling that. I'm just going to keep it. Holographic Squirrel. You know how hard it is to actually get a 10 on these Topps cards? It's like impossible. So to have a 9.5 and then to sell it for like a quarter of the 10, the price of a 10 is super annoying. Or maybe 50% the price of a 10, you know. Look at this Bellsprout over here. Lovely, man. This is an old one. I've been holding on to this for a while. Look at this. Centering's 9.5. You can see it. Yeah, centering's not perfect. I've had many PSA cards just like this because I used to have a lot of the Versus series. I'm sad. I'm not sad. I'm glad I got out of the Versus series because for whatever reason, and I couldn't tell you why, the value of the Versus series collapsed. So Versus cards were going for a lot more in the past and they collapsed. But you see the different coloring and you see how the edge of the slab is filled in. That's the old style. This is back in the day when you could barely get a 10 ever. So that was a much more expensive card back then. And his price fell. Snorlax VMAX, love this card. He's going to come back with the golden label. Here we go. We got some of these metal cards. Can I move these to this side? Look at this guy. So this was also part of a trade. He got to come back saying 10. This is a huge one. Yeah. So I could have priced this one up, but it's like, actually, was this one I purchased? I don't remember. I don't think I graded this. I'm pretty sure I just bought this one outright. So another case where I went and I intentionally purchased the 9.5 because I want to own nice 9.5s. Here is a Rainbow Graveler. Look, I put the sticker on it, and then I saw the price. I said, forget about it. I'll keep it because the 9.5 price is so insanely low, and I know how impossible it is to get rainbow cards in that condition. Here's a nice one. This is a 9.5 Charizard. Now, this price tag is fresh and new on the card because I was selling him as a 10. One of them sold. The other one is just going to be sent off. So, yeah, I actually already sold one of these 9.5 Charizards. Here's another one. So this guy is another case where the price dramatically falls when it is a 9.5, and I just was not willing to sell it for the price of an actual 9.5. I said, this card deserves to be 10. I remember looking that card over before I sent it out to grade. Here's a base set Hollow Hitmonchan. Again, really happy with this. This was a card I pulled myself. It got 9.5. Now it's going to come back and say 10 like it always should have. Here's a card I purchased outright. This is a Bandai Cardos Venusaur. Really beautiful card. And I must have got it for like a quarter or 50% off the actual 10 price. That's why I would have purchased it. Another one. So here's one that, once again, I would have purchased significantly lower than the price of a 10. And I'm like, I'm fine with the 9.5. They're so close to a 10 anyways. They're basically a 10 compared to PSA 10s. This one's huge. So there's a clip of me pulling this one. This is the Dark Charizard, and I actually pulled this myself. I have a lot of love for this card because when I was a kid, I always wanted to pull Dark Charizard. You see, Team Rocket was my favorite set, but I never pulled one. I saw other people pull one, but I never pulled or owned one of these guys. And then I finally pulled one, and it came back 9.5. And now it's just going to be upgraded to, say, 10. So I'm extremely pleased about this. See? So you got all these guys who are all super negative about it. But, you know, some people are actually quite happy with the change, like myself. So this guy, he's going to come back 10 and go right into my personal collection. You know, we got Golduck. So, funny story for this gold duck. With PSA, he's only pop 5. And I couldn't find any 9.5s as CGC. But this is about the price of the PSA 10 for the same card. And nobody really wanted to buy him. I know they didn't, because he said 9.5. So he just sat there on the table. Nobody gonna buy him, 9.5. If it was a PSA 10 Holland Phantoms, I already would have sold it. Just would have sold like that. They'd be like, whoa, he's got Holland Phantoms for sale. And but now it's going to say 10. Again, extremely pleased. And if I go to sell him again, he should sell quite well. I might just hold him though, because the fact that CGC Gem Mint 9.5s are going to say CGC Gem Mint 10 now, I think a lot of 9.5s, well, let's put it this way, a lot of CGC Gem Mints are going to become a lot more collectible anyways. You know, so maybe you wouldn't want to sell them if they never said 9.5. Here's an old one. So obviously I purchased this card, old 9.5, and it's got the corners filled in, see? So this is an old grade, and their standard for grading was extremely harsh back then. And now that is it's probably nicer than some PSA 10s. That's the irony. This grade is probably nicer than some PSA 10s. So this is going to come back 10, and I'm going to be very pleased about that. Here's another one. I just could not give this card up. I actually priced this card like 2 or 3 times, and every time I saw him on the table, I said, what am I doing? Take him back down. Look at this huge, beautiful swirl. And the only reason I was selling this card is because I didn't like the 9.5. But I'm like, you know, this was all part of the internal struggle of accepting 9.5s. I'm like, it's such a nice card. Yes, I only want 10s in my collection, but this is, come on, man, it's such a perfect card. You look it over, you just can't find any flaws. Like, obviously, they disqualified it for some reason or another. But yeah, it's so actually clean. And then they're just like, nah, 9.5. Just very, very harsh. There we go. Now, I think some 9.5s really are closer to a PSA 9. That's the problem with the change that they made. But there's plenty, I would say there's plenty more cases where the 9.5 is equivalent to a PSA 10. So here's one. This one says Surface 9. So that's one to pay attention to. Let's see what's on here. So Surface 9, huh? What'd they find? I'm looking on the back. It's very clean. So let's look on the front. Surface 9, you say. You know, it's so clean. It makes you wonder what it is that they found that they don't like. Was it like an upturned edge or something like that? You never know. Yeah, it looks great, man. So their standard for a 10 is so ridiculous sometimes. And so Oricorio. We also have this Reshiram. Again, these were both part of a trade-in. The person who traded me also, like me, did not know they were about to turn these into 10s. So, you know, he wouldn't have known, I wouldn't have known. The trade was not based on knowing. I happened to just luck out. But you got to consider, like, I'm out there accepting 9.5s. There's people who just won't touch them, but I'll mess with them because I think that they're okay. You know, they're weaker than a PSA 10 in a sense, but they do sell, and they are nice to hold when it's the right card. So this part of the trade right here will end up turning me a bigger profit than originally imagined. There was going to be some profit made either way, because otherwise I wouldn't go through with the trade. But this being called a Gem Mint 10 in the near future is going to dramatically change the value of that trade in my favor. But again, he didn't know, I didn't know. So if that rule had already come out, he would have benefited more from his own card. But he couldn't have known that. I couldn't have known that. So I just got lucky, if anything. I got lucky. He got unlucky. But I didn't do that to him. I like him, by the way, the guy who traded me that. He's a nice guy. Let's see. So I got more here. Give me a second. Let me, I'm trying to stack all the metal cards together. They're really heavy. Can you guys see anything? Is there a way to back out? Is there a way to unzoom? Does this unzoom? Oh, there we go. Look at that. There's the fisheye lens. All right, so you can see more of the table now. So here we go. We got, oh, it's so weird using the fisheye lens. Look at this Machamp, man. Beautiful. Move the light around a little bit, maybe. So beautiful. 9.5, I just didn't want to sell them. So these have been up on the table for sale now and again, but it's like I couldn't bring myself to leave them up there and sell them at reduced prices. So like, look at this Raticate, $70. And if he didn't sell right away, I wasn't going to lower the price. I was like, no way, dude. I'll just hold this Raticate. Look at this one. I wasn't going to sell this one at all. PSA pop on this card is 0. This got the actual pristine. And this was one I pulled and graded myself. Look at that. Series 1 rainbow foil. Very cool. So this is going to go in, and they're going to turn that into a new golden label. Hopefully they don't damage any of these cards. I guess it's a risk that you accept. It's going to be sad if they damage any of them, but it's probably going to happen to a few people, maybe me. Slowpoke. I'd love to see their process for cracking slabs. I'm about to update our process for it because it's a dangerous activity. Look at this. This is an old Pristine 10. So this is probably closer to Black Label than it is to PSA 10. But yeah, that's the old Pristine 10. And I bought this because I like Magnemite. Here we are. He's going to be a golden label. Dark Volume. See that 228? That's a PSA 10 price. If you had to price this like a CGC 9.5, it's like nothing. They want to pay like $70 for the 9.5. No way. It's more valuable than that. To me, I know it is because I send these cards in and I look at them before I send them in. They come back 9.5 with the CGC. It's just so annoying. Look at that Bulbasaur. Beautiful, man. See that? Such a nice card. Just excellent. I love how much the fish lens can capture here. I've never used that in the live stream. Here is Pikachu. He's a Pristine 10. He's going to get the golden label. Those Unigaba cards really fell in price. You know, there's more Unigaba cards out, and I didn't bother buying them this time. Here's Arcanine. Lovely. What else we got? Kangaskhan. I actually kind of wish I'd held more of my Gem Mint 9.5s because I sold some. See, a lot of these have price tags on them. Look at that. Teamwork. That's a rainbow print from Pokemon First Movie. Here's another card. You'll notice no price tag on it. That's because it wasn't for sale. I purchased this one outright. And it's just like the Venusaur. It's just like the Alakazam. I just felt like, hey, you know, it's not a 10, but I'm willing to collect it. Look at that. So here is, I had, I think, like 3 or 4 of these. And I should have bought more, honestly, because it was a fantastic investment. This is going to say Gem Mint 10 on it. I had another one actually cross-graded into a PSA 10. And it's just a lovely looking card. And when it comes back, I'll be ready to sell it. But it's very expensive, so it doesn't sell very, very quickly. Now, check these out. This is huge. What I'm about to show you next is huge money, right? So I had a bunch of these come back from CGC. And a number of them graded 9.5. And I believe now they have to cross them into 10s. So this was from a more recent submission when they started grading the metal Charizards. Glad you stuck around to the end of the video. Hit that like button for me. Look at this. Wow, man. These are all going to say 10 on them, making them more competitive with the PSA 10s. Now, I looked these over before I sent them off to CGC, and I knew there may be some small flaw in one way or another, but it was really close. So I was not surprised to get these 9.5s back and really feel like they deserve that grade. Look at this Pikachu. Lovely. So a couple of these Pikachus got to come back and say 10 as well. Look how many slabs we have. You guys can't see it. Let me lift the camera. See that? Look how many slabs that is. This is exactly why I'm very happy for the changes. Anyone sitting on a lot of 9.5s, you know, there's probably collectors out there who have nothing but 9.5s because they said, you know what I'll do? I'll be a CGC 9.5 collector. Boom, they just got the biggest upgrade of their life. But yeah, there's these really negative, elitist kind of people who are like, I would never collect 9.5. And now they are upgrading it. Look at that, 2.4K. Did I overpay for this? But they're all upset over it. I do not care, man. I do not care. Look at that. Fisheye lens, huh? That is so many slabs. I don't know how many slabs that is. It's going to cost a couple $100, I'm sure, to get the reholder, but it's going to be well worth it. All those pristines are going to have the golden label. All the 9.5s are going to say 10. And when I go back to the market to sell them, I believe they will sell significantly more easily. When I put them in the live customs, people will be happy to pull a 10. They'll say, hey, a 10's a 10. And how do I know this? Because that's exactly how it works with the PSA cards. So if I get a PSA 9 and it's a strong 9, people just want the 9 price on it. If I get a PSA 10 and it is so obvious that it should have been a 9, people still want the, you sell it at the PSA 10 price and it still sells. So it doesn't matter what the condition of the card inside is. All that matters is that it said 10. Now, I guess you could argue about the value of the brand or the authority of the brand. CGC's been fine. I mean, they're fast. The slab is high quality. They're, you know, CGC is NGC, I think it's the biggest coin grading company. They also got the CGC comics. Now I really feel like the coin grading and the comic grading are really separate from the card grading. A lot of people were angry that, well, hey, shouldn't the cards look like the comics? I don't think that's necessary. I'll show you why. A lot of people who collect Pokemon cards don't necessarily collect comics, but I can understand that there's some crossover. But take a look at this. Is anyone mad that the NGC coins do not look like the comic book grading or the video game grading or the blue Pokemon card grading? No, nobody complains about this. See, this is NGC. See the little NGC label? See the little scale on the back? They're the same company. Did you know that? Some people don't know that. They're the same company. So NGC has been around for like 40 years or something like that, or 30 years. I don't know when they were established. They're a real old company. They've been around doing this kind of stuff, authenticating and grading and encapsulating for a really long time. They are experts in the industry. And they've got so much money backing them, they're not going anywhere. In fact, I would say it's BGS who should be scared, actually. I think BGS, not anymore, now that they've removed the perfect grade, not anymore. BGS is going to hold on, so that was kind of a gift for BGS. But yeah, I would say BGS was considered like the number 2, and I think that for Pokemon card grading, and I think that if I had to guess, CGC was eating into their numbers like crazy. But write CGC an email. I already did. Tell them you want the perfect grade back. I think they'd bring it back if enough people contacted them. But I would not make the change back down to 9.5. The change from 9.5 to 10 was correct. But yeah, people complain about that blue label. Who cares? Look, the NGC coin grading didn't have a blue label. That didn't stop them. Why weren't people mad when they got into comic book grading? Hey, why is the label blue rather than white like the coin grading? You know what I mean? Nobody really cared about that. That's just how it is. So the coin grading, the card grading, and the comic book grading will all have different motifs, but that's fine. Overall, it's the same company. It's the same high-quality slab. That's what matters the most, right? So, all right. Fun conversation, and now you guys have seen how many slabs I have to benefit from this change. If only I had held more of them and I had more of them, because I know there were 9.5s I were letting go at a discounted price over time. Had I held all of them, I would be in even a better position than I am now, but I'm in a fantastic position. How about you guys? Let me know. Did you guys buy any slabs after they announced the change? There are people out there who are buying up really expensive first edition slabs. Like I got the... I showed you guys the 2 legendary Dragonites and the Mew in particular were some of the most expensive ones I've purchased, but I got a couple more cheaper slabs on the way where I just find that there's a huge difference between the 9.5 and the 10. And what's funny is even if you don't reholder your slabs, everyone's going to understand, your 9.5 translates into a 10 with that company. So all the prices have jumped and I'm not seeing the same deals that were available just a little while ago. And yeah, let me know if you guys bought any 9.5s. Despite all the negativity, I suspect prices are shooting up on these because people like me who see the change coming and do not care about the negativity at all, because how you feel emotionally is not always what the market cares about. What the market cares about is that number 10. So I'm out there making my moves, and it's one of the biggest moves in the card hobby right now. But you might have already missed it, to be honest. Keep an eye on auctions, I'd tell you, but you might have already missed the big boom. I would say in the first 2 days of the announcement of that news, a lot of 9.5s were snatched off the market. I'm real happy with them, though. I showed you, let me try and get back to these. They're back here. I got one more Dragonite on the way, so these are not ready to ship out. Here we are. Check that out. So these 2 guys right here were, now look at those, 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, 10. That's real decent, don't you think? And look at the centering on that. Wonderful. So this is going to come back with their Gem Mint 10, and I'm super excited for that. If you don't know much about this Mew, the Expedition Mew is maybe the best looking Mew in the entire hobby. You could argue against that. I don't really know. Maybe like the Southern Islands Mew would be another example, but I've got the Southern Island Mew 10 already. So I'll have the Expedition Mew as well in a minute here. And he's just a really fantastic card. I have 3 of the Japanese ones because I like how much they look. I love them. And then we got this Dark Dragonite. You guys know I'm a Dragonite collector. I got a lot of Dragonites. I've already got a PSA 10 of this Dark Dragonite reverse. Now I'm going to have 2 of the CGC 10s. man, I was thinking about selling them. Why even bother selling them? Legendary Collection is a solid investment every time. I've only seen price increases on Legendary Collection. You never see the price fall. So over the last year, I've acquired a number of Legendary Collection chase cards, including the triple Charizards you guys saw. I might as well hold this because this is, for a lot of people, this is like a holy grail card. Same with this Mew. There's only 26 10s of the PSA 10, so now that I got the CGC 10, I might as well just hold it. And yeah, I'm just so excited. This row was the expensive cards mostly. Look at these. Damn, dude. Look at this. Yeah, I'm hyped. I'm not disappointed at all with this change. I am hyped for the change. Just keep in mind, some of the 9.5s probably are closer to a PSA 9 than they are to a PSA 10. And then once you keep that in mind as a shopper, that's all you need. You're good to go. But remember, when you're buying and selling, the market generally doesn't really care. Right? This is the whole reason CGC is making the change. The market generally does not care. Your PSA 10 could have a big white dot on the back. I'm telling you this from experience. I have a lot of experience doing this. Your PSA 10 could have a big white dot on the back. And as long as it says PSA 10, they do not care. They will pay the price of a PSA 10. There are some guys out there who will ask to see the front and the back of it. Probably somebody more like me. And they'll be like, you got a big white dot on the back of your card. I don't want it. But the truth is, there are PSA cards where I purchased them knowing there was a dot on the back, knowing that they will sell anyways. So the confidence I have in selling PSA 10s, whether they have a white dot on the back of the card or not, the confidence is so high, it just doesn't matter anymore. So I just go, oh, whatever. It'll sell. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? It's going to sell. And I presume we will have a scenario like that with these cards as well. Love this Sabrina's Gengar, by the way. This was a recent acquisition. I acquired that card just before the change. And yeah, he'll come back with that golden label and he'll sell like that. He's going to sell so fast. And by the way, for those of you who just flat out won't accept any CGC 10s because you're like, oh, they suck. They should be 9.5. Anybody who feels that way, look, just go after a CGC 10. Do you doubt the CGC 10? Do you? You don't. I know you don't. I sell these all day long. CGC 10s sell. Fun conversation. I'm looking forward to hearing from what you guys acquired after they made the rule change. Let me know in the comment section. And if you'll do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. See you guys later.